Hey everybody, I'm Sean. Welcome to another episode of Adventuring Spiders. Welcome back everybody. On today's episode of Adventuring Spiders, I am in Mexico, and as you can see behind me, I am at a site with some temples. This is Teotihuacan. Let's go take a tour. All right, here we got the first look at Teotihuacan, just at the very entrance here. This is the first view here of one of the pyramids, and we're at the back of it. And showing this only because in the distance right here in the smog is the volcano that is the source of most of the stone that was used to build this site, and also the obsidian that was used as part of the economy and for weapons and tools and everything else. So it's hard to put in perspective how big this thing actually is. These pyramids are amazing. The amount of volume of dirt that had to be moved to build these is just unbelievable. What you're seeing here is actually part of the original wall. A lot of Teotihuacan has been reconstructed, but this one is actually original, and what you're seeing is the main base construction. These stones with a mortar. This would all have been covered by a layer of concrete, and then on top of that, a veneer that was painted, they believe, red. So the entire thing would have been smooth, as opposed to seeing the stones, and then would have been red. And all of it, even the pyramids, are believed to have been the same way. So this is an important distinction here. What you can see on this wall are these little dots in the mortar. And anywhere you see these dots here at Teotihuacan means that the wall has been reconstructed. If it doesn't have these dots, it's original. So here's a perfect example. The bottom of this wall is original, and then the upper part has been reconstructed. It's very interesting. So the pyramids here at Teotihuacan are there's no tomb in them. There's no tunnels, with the exception of one place here. First of all, right in front of me is the exploration tunnel that was dug by archaeologists to see if there was anything in the middle. And then right below that here, covered by this metal cover, was an actual tunnel that was discovered by a dog. And it did have a short tunnel that went all the way to, or a narrow tunnel that went all the way to the center of the pyramid and had chambers in 4 cardinal directions. There was nothing in the chambers, and the belief is that the Aztecs, who took over this site hundreds of years after the Teotihuacanos, had already looted it. So this temple did have a tunnel, and I'll show a picture that I was shown by the guide of what that tunnel looked like under the pyramid. All right, here we are on above the courtyard of the Temple of the Sun. Unbelievable. And if we turn in the distance here, the Temple of the Moon. Pretty amazing. All right, everybody, here we are. Temple of the Sun. Pretty amazing. All right, now we just walked down onto what they call the Avenue of the Dead. There are a lot of vendors here selling a variety of different things. Trinkets. Not that many, but there's a few. But here we are, lining the main avenue here at Teotihuacan, and this is the Avenue of the Dead. The way the city is laid out is on the cardinal directions. If you're looking at the Temple of the Sun, it is directly east, and then the layout of the Avenue of the Dead is north-south. What you see on the sides here of the Avenue of the Dead are basically apartments. Of course, the walls have fallen down and they've been reconstructed, but this is where the elite of the city would have lived. They believe it was the priests, the government, the soldiers that lived here. And it's estimated that the population of the main city here was about 5,000. But the population of the city surrounding Teotihuacan, so just outside of the ceremonial center on the outskirts, was about 200,000, making it one of the largest cities in the world at the time. Alright, so I just learned that it took about 200 years to build the Temple of the Sun, and it was a single construction, so it was built over that period, but it was only that temple that was built, as opposed to the Temple of the Moon here at the end of the Avenue of the Dead, which was built in cycles of 53 years. So it actually is a temple on top of a temple on top of a temple, and every 53 years they built a new temple on top of it. And the reason for that is it takes 53 years for the intersection of the lunar and solar calendars. And so after 53 years, they have a big celebration. They destroy a bunch of their personal property, burn some of their clothes, and then rebuild a bunch of structures. And that is why it was built on top of every 53 years. And it took 365 years to finish it to its current state. A lot of other things revolving around 365 here. Basically the solar calendar. If you add the number of steps on the Temple of the Sun with the number of steps on the Temple of the Moon, it's 365. So coincidence or purposeful, I'm not too sure, but there is a similar pattern at other sites like Chichen Itza here in Mexico, where there are 364 steps, if you count them all up on each side, on all the sides of the pyramid, and then one at the very top to make 365. And there's another temple, we were told, in this region that has 365 windows. All right, so now we're seeing some better preserved platforms, still reconstructed, these portions of them reconstructed, but better preserved. And you can see here, at least on this wall, what the covering would look like. So these would have been smooth. All of these stones would have been covered with mortar and painted red. All right, here we can see a mural of a puma, and this is also an example of the 53-year cycle. So right in front of me here, you see the wall that's broken. The archaeologists found this by digging through the wall that you can see that runs along here, and this is the wall behind it, the previous construction. So that represents 53 years before this new construction, and gives you an example of some of the things that they could find by digging back. And there are other walls behind this 53 years previous, and that's how they know. So this is an original and gives an idea about what the design of this place would have looked like in its original state. So while there were 7 cycles, 7 53-year cycles to build the Temple of the Moon, the apartments area here only had 3 cycles. All right, we have reached the final courtyard here of the Temple of the Moon, and it is quite developed. All these terraces, and then of course our main plaza, and behind that the Temple of the Moon. All right, everybody, I'm standing here in front of the Temple of the Moon, and I just learned something from our tour guide. They just reopened your ability to walk up this temple 2 weeks ago. They've been closed since COVID, and so you can't go all the way to the top, but we get to go to the first terrace of the Temple of the Moon and get a view of the entire area. That is pretty cool, because I was not expecting that. When I looked up coming here, I was told that both temples were closed to having tourists on them, so it's a bonus. Can't wait. Let's go climb this thing. All right, this is crazy. About to go up. I am super excited. Are you kidding me right now? All right, this is a temple right in front of the Temple of the Moon. That's a little area. That's the Temple of the Moon. And it's believed that this represents the underworld, and that the altar right there in the center was for sacrificing victims. All right, here we are at the first terrace of the Temple of the Moon, and this is as far as you can climb. And the reason for that is all of the stairs above this and everything you see here is original, has not been reconstructed, so you would be disturbing the actual archaeology site if you were to climb any further, and so that part is closed. But what we can do now is pan over here to the Avenue of the Dead. And check out everything that you can see here at Teotihuacan down below. There, Pyramid of the Sun, and surrounding temples, the Avenue of the Dead, the altar down below here. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera or not, but this is steep. Very, very, very steep. I'm glad we only got to the first terrace. If anybody wanted to see the angle at these stairs, I'm standing sideways to it here. You can see the angle. It's significant. Alright, I'm in the center of the courtyard here of the Temple of the Moon, and here's a 360.
This is representing the earth, the tierra, our planet, and there are 13 little temples around the sky.
And the thing to note about this panoramic is that there's actually 13 of these temples here, and these represent the phases of the moon. So we were just told that the acoustics of this plaza surrounded by these 13 temples is extremely good, and Plácido Domingo performed here in the 90s, I believe, because of the acoustics. And so we were just asked to walk away from the central dais, the central platform, towards one of these temples, and our tour guide is going to try to talk to us from that distance and see if we can understand her or hear her. She is quite a distance away. She is over there now. So if we can hear her clearly, I am going to be very, very impressed. Yes, very well.
Okay. If you can hear me, will you raise your hand? Turn around. Nothing.
Nothing. So we're going to clap in front of this temple, and it has a unique resonance that sounds very similar to the call of a quetzal bird, but it definitely has a unique resonance for sure.
Bien despacito. Vénganse para acá, acá en el centro, y de aquí de lejos se oye mejor. ¿Listos? Are you ready? We're going to clap one more time. 1, 2, 3. ¿Qué les parece?
Alright, here we go. One final look. Temple of the Sun. Headed to the parking lot to head back to Mexico City. Alright, that is going to do it. Quick trip today. And an excellent one. Highly recommended if you are in Mexico City and you have a half a day to go on a tour. You can do full day here or you can do half day. I took the half day one, but absolutely amazing. So that's gonna close this one out. Hey, if you guys liked the video and you like more adventures, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and until next time, good adventuring.